Hi, hello, how are ya? It is I, Smriti of House Fermented Grape Juice. It is a great house to be a part of. Okay, I feel like Tyrion Lannister and I would get along wonderfully because we both drink and know things. Alright? And today I am coming to give you all the juice and the goss and the tea. The tea is what I was looking for. Juice is not a thing. The tea on books, because I am going to be doing something called the anti TBR tag, which is basically this wonderful tag that was made by Nicole and her books, and I will tag her because it's a tag. I'm gonna tag her down below because it was great, and she asked 8 questions about books that you do not want to read, and I will be talking to you about that. And it is fun. I think they're great questions. However, I do want to start off by saying that I am not trying to attack any one of you guys who have loved the books that I think that I do not want to read. I do not think that your taste is bad. I just do not think that it is for me. This is a purely me video and not a you video. If that even makes sense to you. I hope it does, because I am not trying to shit on your face. That graphic came into my head. I mean, like, it was like a cartoon face, but still, it was a weird graphic. Still, let's just get into the questions, because this is just getting weird. You know what I mean. I mean no offense. If you are offended, I'm sorry. I'm a nice person generally. So question number 1 is a popular book that everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. And for that, I chose Sarah J. Maas. And I did not know of her, honestly, till like BookTube happened. And I was just like, first of all, what are fairies? What is Faeries? That sounds weird to me. It's like bae, but like fae. And I don't know what the fuck that means, because I have never come across this concept before. And that's probably because Sarah J. Maas is not really very popular in India, or like just this. I mean, and I think that a lot of people really like her because they grew up with her in like high school and whatever. And it was just a sort of book that like people grew up with, so which is why they have this sort of affinity to it. But I did not grow up with it. I had never heard of it. I have never heard of the idea of fairies. Fairies for me is Tinkerbell. Okay, like that is what I think fairies are. So I don't know fairies. But I don't want to read Sarah J. Maas books because I anyway have like Cindy from Read with Cindy, who breaks down all of her Court of Roses and Thorns series or whatever, and her videos are really entertaining. So I don't really think that I'm gonna read them, because from whatever I can make out, that it's not really a sort of book that I am going to read. If that makes any sense to you. If that makes any sense to me. Well, alright, moving on. A classic book or author you have no interest in reading. And I've seen a lot of these videos, and I know that a lot of y'all say Lolita, and I completely agree. Like, Lolita is such a big, famous book, and everyone's like, oh my god, Lolita, and it's so famous. But why are we making this dude who has written a book from a pedophilic perspective famous? That, like, what? Why would I want to read that perspective? That just sounds so weird and terrible and just gross. Why would I ever want to read that book? It's beyond me. Another I would never want to read is Jane Eyre, because that's also because I tried reading it when I think I was like 11 or something, and I got really bored of it like really fast. And I was just like, Mr. Rochester, just whenever I hear of the synopsis of the book, it just sounds really weird, and Rochester just sounds like a weird dude. And I know it's not supposed to be a love story, but like he just sounds iffy, so I don't want to read that. And then I would never want to read fucking Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens, holy shit. Like, why? Why? I think the only book that I'd want to read is A Tale of Two Cities, because I think I did read that as like a younger self and I did like it. I think, I'm not too sure. I don't think I had like terrible feelings about it, but I hated Oliver Twist because I had to be part of a play and that ruined like everything. But also everything that Charles Dickens writes is just so fucking depressing. Like, just because you wrote during the Great Depression doesn't mean that you have to give me the Great Depression. Like, I don't understand. Ugh. The third question is an author you have no interest in reading, and there's a 3.2 sort of situation, which is a problematic author that you have no interest in reading. And I'm just gonna combine these both into three, like into one question. And I'm gonna say that there is one who was my absolute fucking queen till a few, I would say a few years ago, where I was just like, I was feeling slightly iffy about her. She was just giving me weird vibes. I was just like, you know what, like, you're saying weird shit. I don't like you. And then this year, in 2020, she was just like, you know what, you're going through a pandemic. Come, let me talk to you about how women who menstruate are women who are women, and women who don't menstruate are not women. And like, she just completely, she completely ruined everything for me. And just then after that, she went and like spoke about how she was right, and she wrote an entire like essay, and you know who I'm talking about. Like, everyone knows who I'm talking about at this point of time. Her series was a series that I grew up with. I don't know, like around my room you will see a lot of like the merch that I wore. I have a lot of like cloaks and just everything, pillows. Just my entire life was sort of revolved around her, and I have a lot of friendships that I've made also because of that series. So it really sucks that she has ruined it fully and completely for me. I don't know whether I can go back to the series because of just the amount of hatred that she has spread. And I will never want to read another book by her because I just don't like the way that she's trying to gatekeep the concept of womanhood, and just sure, you have your opinions, but you should realize that you have such a huge platform, and just know what you're saying. Like, it could be very detrimental to a lot of people, and you know the facts. You know that there are so many people in that position who are way more susceptible to take their lives, to have violence being put on them. It's just terrible. And then you go out and like say that they're not women, and they're not who they say they are, and that is just, how can you be that sort of person? I don't understand. Enough of her. Let me tell you about other problematic authors that I don't like. So one, I think I definitely have to bring up Stephanie Myers, because she's been very disrespectful to the indigenous communities in the North Americas. So I definitely feel like that needs to be mentioned. Also, like, Twilight is just trash. I'm sorry, I never liked it as like a child or a slightly grown up person, and I definitely don't like it now, so I'm not gonna fucking read it. In the Indian context, I would love to mention Chetan Bhagat, because I think that he's a really problematic writer. Like, he is just a stuck up piece of shit, okay, who just writes the most unfeminist feminist sort of writing. Like, he says that it's supposed to be a feminist fucking book or whatever, but it's not. I have not read his recent book, though I have it, and like, I don't know why I have it. I just bought it because the person who was selling it to me was clearly looked very fucking sad, and like, he clearly needed money. So I was like, I'm gonna give you this money, and it was like pirated. Okay, so I was like, I'm not giving money to fucking Chetan Bhagat, I'm giving money to this man. So that was, I have a clear conscience there. I have a full fucking clear conscience there. It's all good. But yeah, I don't like the man, because he is clearly like, okay, so back to what I was talking about, this book. Like, this book apparently also has a lot of like fat phobia, and a lot of like fat phobic jokes that have been cracked about like a person's weight, and just a bunch of shit as well. And like, his previous book, which was I think One Indian Girl or something, was very anti-feminist, so he branded it as a very feminist book. So I'm just like, yo, people come to you and they read your books because they're hella cheap. So great, I am glad that your books are so fucking cheap that like a lot of people will read them, and hopefully they are going to be a gateway to a lot of people thinking that, hey, you know what, reading books ain't that bad, like maybe I should just read more fucking books. But if like you're just gonna spread useless shit and say the most redundant anti-feminist, anti just everything common sense shit, then what's the point? Your first book, buddy, I read it, it ain't bad. It really ain't fucking bad. What happened to you? You don't have to write film scripts each and every time, you know? Like, just why? Oh, I'm just also gonna put up this thing, a couple of memes here because I love Chetan Bhagat memes. They're just the best. One was this thing where it said, can we turn the pages of a Chetan Bhagat book back to like trees, which I thought was fucking hilarious. And another one was something to do with his IIT degree, which I'm not too sure about, but I will like put it here somewhere. And I remember seeing this years ago and just like falling down laughing. So yeah, I just don't like the dude. The guy is an idiot. I've interacted with him myself personally, so I know firsthand. Also, this is just not me talking out of my ass. This is just reality. And yeah. Also, he had a Me Too case against him. So, fuck him. Alright, the next question is, an author you have read a couple of books of and have decided their books are not for you. And this one, for the first one, I have actually a little controversial book, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale. So, like Catherine Arden, I just didn't like the book. I just thought it was really boring. And like, it was just the same thing happening over and over again. And like, these characters were being developed, but nothing was happening to them. And I was just like, really bored while reading it. And I just didn't get, like, I really didn't give a shit about any of these characters. So yeah, that was that. And I don't know if I'm gonna read the next few books because I was just like really disappointed because everyone was just like, oh my god, The Bear and the Nightingale, what a wonderful fucking series. This is just the greatest thing that's happened to us since, like, I don't know, electricity. And then bleh, nothing. So yeah, I didn't like it. And then I have a few other authors. All right, I have fucking Dan Brown. If I see that guy, I will hit him in his face with Inferno because I hated it. I hated Inferno so bad. And I think that, okay, here's the thing, Dan Brown, you were great to me as a child. You were amazing. Like, I really liked you. I thought that Angels and Demons, amazing. I really liked knowing about like art history and all of that sort of stuff. Like, it was cool, right? And then you came up with Inferno, and that end was just so shit. Like, it was just like, really? And I bought this book in Jakarta. Do you know how expensive books are in Jakarta? Like, English language books in Jakarta, they're so expensive. And I bought it of my not-for-profit money that I was working in. Like, do you understand the sadness that I felt while reading that book? Holy shit. That end, I was just like, I really wanted to hit you with that book that day, Dan Brown. I'm telling you, I'm not even like, I don't feel sad while saying it. So I definitely don't think that Dan Brown is for me. I definitely do think, though, that Dan Brown is a great person for like an introductory sort of person who's getting into reading because it's like fast paced and cool and fun. And you know, he's played by Tom Hanks in the movies. So like, Tom Hanks can do no wrong in my eyes. So yeah, there's that. There's also Ayn Rand. I read The Fountainhead when I was like 14 or 15, okay, which was like a terrible mistake. I do not know why my father gave me that book to read when I was 14 or 15, and that book was a fucking chore. Like, a person spoke, like his monologue went on for 7 pages, and I would like keep flipping till like, when are the quotation marks gonna get over so that I will know that this person's monologue has ended, and it would like just keep going on and on and on. And there was like questionable shit in that book, okay? Like, it was just like, I just don't think that it's off its time, and I just don't think I gel with that sort of writing. And I just didn't give a shit. So at that point of time, I was just like, yeah, this book is great, because it was my first ever like grown-up book. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, I love it. But inside, I was just like, the fuck is this shit? So yeah, Ayn Rand, never gonna read her. Just no, sorry. Question number 5 is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. And ladies and gents, I hope you have a glass around you, because you should sip it and cheers with me, because that genre is going to be fucking poetry. Okay, I'm sorry, I just hate poetry with like all of my being. Okay, and this, no hate to people who love poetry, who write poetry, who all of that sort of stuff. I feel like I love spoken word poetry. I've absolutely loved that recently. But my hatred of poetry comes and stems through childhood trauma. And let me tell you what that childhood trauma is. It is the Indian education system. Alright? It is the Indian fucking education system. We were taught poetry so terribly. Like, just generally. Like, in school, in colleges, everything. And the thing is, here's the thing, right? I just don't like poetry, which would be like, it's great that you have like a poem that could be about a tree, but it's actually about the decaying world, or like he was writing it about the Second World War or something like that, right? Like, that's great. It sounds really good. I would definitely read it, but when I have marks attached to it, when I have my future dependent on it, I would like for it to be straightforward. I do not want to be like, I missed out a lecture and now I don't know what this poem about a fucking tree is about, and like I am now having to go into the history, psychology, geography of the fucking poem and the poet, and like having to understand all of that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's so bad. Like, okay, here's the thing, right? Like, okay, if you're not Indian, if you didn't study in an Indian like school or college or whatever, if you got, and I'm not talking to you Delhi folks, those ICSE fuckers who got like 100 in fucking English or some shit like that, okay, that's fucking impossible. For us, if you got a 75, you were Shakespeare reincarnated. All right, that's how it was. Anyway, so I'm yeah, I just have a hatred for poetry because of that, because um we were made to learn it in a sort of way which made me resent it, and yeah, that is the long way of me saying that. But also, I just really don't like modern poetry. Like, I just don't like more, and by modern poetry I mean like the Rupi Kaur versions of things, because like, or Atticus, or like, I just don't think that they are good. Like, I just don't think that they evoke those sort of emotions from me. And sure, they sound, it's not like they don't make sense. I do think that they make sense, but I just don't think that it's for me. You know, the Rupi Kaur, Amanda Lovelace, Atticus, Instagram poetry, all of that just doesn't make sense to me. I do see a lot of great examples of it which have really spoken to me and I really enjoy them. But unfortunately, I feel like there's a 80% of it that I don't like, and maybe just a 20% that I do like. So that's saying that. And I just don't think that that's something that I'm gonna go out and seek out and try to find. So yeah, that's that. Number 6 is a book that you have bought but will never read. This can be a book that you have unhauled slash returned to the library unread. Fucking, I don't know. There are a lot of books that I have around me that I probably will never read in my fucking lifetime. But is there a book that I have unhauled that I probably won't read? I don't know. I just unhauled a bunch of books. Um, I have a Chetan Bhagat book, but I do plan to read that soon. Let's see. I don't know. There are a bunch of books that my dad has, which are very like marketing sort of driven, which are like but like early 2000s, late 90s sort of marketing, which doesn't really make sense anymore because of like the advent of social media and just a bunch of things. So that's probably a sort of a book that I will not read. Which I have right now. Yeah. Okay, number 7 is a series that you have no interest in reading, or a series you have started and DNF'd. Um, okay, so I've already spoken about the Winter Night series, right, which was the Catherine Arden one. But I have another one which is a favorite of very many people in general, and that is the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I read the first book, which was The Gunslinger, and first of all, it just takes so much time to get into, and it's a thinnish sort of book, but I'm just like, what is happening? What is fucking happening in this book? It's this guy traveling in this desert-ish sort of situation, and then he meets this boy, and then he goes into another world, or like some shit is happening, and there's this guy who's in black who's following him, and I'm just like, cool, but that is literally the entire fucking book. And I'm just like, what is going on? And then I speak to people after I finish reading the book, because I rated it on fucking Goodreads or something like that, or I spoke about it on my Instagram, and people are like, oh, you know what? Like, this book doesn't get good till like, like book 4 or something. And it's like Stephen King's magnum opus. So, no, but I mean, like, just no, I don't want to wait for 4 books for me to like pick up on it, and it just doesn't seem like a fun book to me. It just seems so boring, and like the worst part is I have bought most of the books. I have bought like the 7 series thingies, so I might just fucking end up reading it, but it's definitely not high on the priority list. Like, am I dying to read the Dark Tower series? No, absolutely not. I think it's fucking boring. So yeah, that is that. And then the 8th question, which is the final question, is a new release you have no interest in reading. I mean, I could say A Midnight Sun by Stephanie Myers, because I have never been interested in the Twilight series, and I know that a lot of booktubers read the Twilight series when they were teenagers and they like absolutely fell in love with it and all of that sort of stuff. I was in college, I think, when it came out, and I absolutely detested the idea. So I read it like even after the hype was down. So I did read the books, and I thought they were absolute garbage. I thought the movies were absolute garbage too, though I do think that the soundtrack was amazing. So props to the soundtrack. However, movies garbage, books garbage. So I will not be reading Midnight Sun, and also, as we know that Stephanie Myers has not been great to the indigenous tribes. So we'll link all of that also down below, and if you can donate, please do donate to them. I will also be linking down a link to donate to the farmers protests in India, because I think that is really important. And if you don't know about it, I will also be linking down what it is and how you can just talk about it more, because I think that is a really important thing that is happening in our country right now. And look at me being all like fucking woke while drinking wine. That is great. and that is actually the end of this tag. I am so sorry for all the profanity which you have heard through the span of this video. It was not my intention, but honestly, if you know me, this is how I talk. So this was literally me on zero, like holding back situation. So you got the truest, purest form of me in this video. That is great. You're welcome. And if you have answers for any of these questions, do let me know down below. I of course will be putting up more videos for you soon, so do comment down and just generally subscribe. And like, I don't even know how to end like videos. I'm just being very awkward. And yeah, I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.